Hi, I'm Alex. I'm with Extinction Rebellion Youth. I started off about a year and a half ago by finding out about the Youth Strike for Climate on Fridays from school and went along to Norwich to join in. After going along a couple of times, I found out about a critical mass ride arranged by Extinction Rebellion Norwich and decided to check it out. Back when I was in school, we had geography lessons. Geography lessons are meant to teach you about what's going on around the world and in the world, the issues, the problems we face and things that can be solved, and also about culture, heritage, exploring, volcanoes, you name it. We learned all that kind of stuff. However, what they taught us was we have a global warming issue, we have greenhouse gases, the emissions, and they taught us how to reduce our carbon footprints, kind of like in the 90s, and recycling and stuff. But they didn't actually say that we could make a difference. They didn't say you need to make change. They didn't say that our world is dying and that we've lost at least 50% of our biodiversity in the last 100 years. And if I could go back to my geography teacher right now and talk to him, I would definitely say that he should have taught us more, because it's the schools, the teachers and the government's responsibility. Once I did my own research into that, found out about that through my own means, I then got involved with Extinction Rebellion, and in my opinion that was the best way to make direct change and direct action towards a sustainable future. When we're at the rebellions or when we're participating in non-violent direct action, we often get asked and told, get a job, get a life. Why don't you go onto the side of the street with signs? Why don't you lobby, have a debate, start a petition? Greenpeace, Friends of the Earth have been doing that for decades. It hasn't really got them anywhere. They need to step up their game. Greenpeace is currently stepping up their game and they are getting there, but I still feel like they're not achieving their full potential considering the global impact and influence that they have currently. So with XR, we've done loads of different actions, events and all sorts of things in Norfolk. I've been to critical mass bike rides, which are personally one of my favourite sorts of events. I've been to little meetups where we've had quite literally meetings showing us the science behind global warming and why we need to change. So it's not just this propaganda, oh, we need to change but we're not going to tell you why and how. We still get informed about it and we still take time to learn and inform ourselves. One of the most effective events we have on a 1 to 2 times a year basis, by the looks of it so far, is the International Global Rebellions. So they usually happen in London, and this year it was London, Bristol and Cardiff, and they last anywhere between a week and 2 weeks typically. And the aim of that is to simply disrupt the government, and this year it was aimed towards Parliament to say that they need to make change and commit to their commitments that they made with the 2015 Paris Agreement and many other agreements that they're just not following up to standard right now. So we used non-violent disobedience, we're strictly non-violent, and basically just occupied London peacefully, raising awareness for the climate and ecological emergency, while also putting forward the CEE bill that we want the government to take up. So this year I decided, right, I'm going to cycle that. So I cycled 125 miles towards London, arrived there after just under 2 days on a fairly weird bike, and stayed at the rebellion for the entirety of the 10 days. Then after the rebellion ended, I decided to visit the Stop HS2 campaign protest camps, which are in place across the proposed HS2 line between London and Birmingham. So I stopped off at Denham, Wendover, Jones Hill, Steeple Claydon and Crackley Camp, and then after that went Bristol to Portsmouth again on the bike, all the while having all my XR stuff on the bike, and therefore while getting asked questions about the bike I was able to then inform them about XR and why I was on this ride, which was the main point of the ride, but also for the experience as well. I left on the 28th of August, arrived back just before the 20th of September I believe, and it was in total around 800 or 900 miles. I feel that a lot of people my age, below and around, born after 2000, will experience climate anxiety because of the fact that we're being given this earth that is more or less dying, and we don't know how to solve it. Or we do, but we can't, because the government just won't take action. We're trying all we can, but it's not getting us anywhere currently, and we want to try and do more. But my plan is for the coming year to do cycle touring around the country, raising awareness for global warming, the ecological and climate emergency, and my personal interest in that is mostly raising awareness for cycling and promoting cycling in Britain, because it's a much more eco-friendly way to travel. So over the last 2 years, I had an interest in biking, mostly mountain biking. I'd just go do the jumps and explore a bit. And then as I started to venture further out of my area, I decided to start bike packing, which is like backpacking, but basically you put everything in your backpack on your bike and more. So you have clothes, camping gear, food, stove, everything you need to survive for at least a few days on the road. The issue is with a regular bike, you have 2 panniers, you have maybe a frame bag, a seat pack, it's not always enough space. So one of the many advantages about customized bicycles, specifically tall bikes like these, is that they have a really nice center of gravity. As you can see here, this is the cargo bay. They also have a lot more storage capacity than a regular bike. And for me, you're up higher. I'm cycling at like 8 or 10 feet, and it might seem a little bit daunting, but as long as you're not too scared of heights, getting up there and down, you have a step. So you just get up and down. And then once you're up there, the balance is just like a regular bicycle. And I find, for me personally, it is safer because of the fact that cars will, as they're passing, they'll be like, what is that? And they will give you a really, really wide berth. So yeah, and then filtering through traffic, which is more an issue in the bigger cities like Norwich, Cambridge, London. Tall bikes don't have the issue of your handlebars scraping the sides of the cars as you go through. You can just go straight through the lines of traffic without endangering yourself or the cars. And most of all, it's a lot of fun and raises awareness for cyclists in general, because they stare up at you. So if you want to advertise something, if you want to promote something, get on a tall bike, everyone will stare at you. And they have been nicknamed by the Zenga brothers as augmented reality machines. And it's really good for getting to know people, different cultures, communities, and showing the best part of complete and absolute strangers, basically. So yeah, it does augment reality a little bit. So mostly because it's fun. When I was a kid, what I do, my aspirations used to be to want to be an entomologist, which is the study of insects and similar invertebrates. So I was interested basically in creepy crawlies and seen as a complete weirdo. So I'd go around my garden and similar areas, and specifically there are some sleepers along our polytunnel, which are old railway, big bits of wood, and every day or so I would go and lift them up, because underneath them there would be a little ecosystem of animals. They'd usually be centipedes, millipedes, devil's coach horse. I once found a lesser stag beetle, slugs, snails, beetles, pretty much everything you could find was under there. Pretty sure I even saw a lizard once or twice in the summer, which is fairly rare for this area. And yeah, it was great fun. And now that I'm 17, more or less 10 years on, I go and look under those and similar areas, and you might find a millipede or a centipede, but there's nowhere near as much as that used to be. And David Attenborough did also outline this about when he was young, and that was about 80 years ago. He used to find loads of bugs, and nowadays he can't. That was 80 years. For me, it's only been 10 years, and already I'm starting to see that change in our ecosystem. And considering I'm in Norfolk, this is meant to be the countryside, so it should be a lot better than the built-up areas, but it's still declining just as fast as everywhere else.